back with another season of the 6 Yard Line podcast. The 2025-2026 Premier League season has officially kicked off with a Friday afternoon game. So we are recording Friday night post game. So we will start our preview or our discussion on today's match. Welcome back, Noah. We're back for another season.
I can't believe it. Woo! So excited. Came really quick though. Like it really did go fast, right? Like I was like, oh my god. Like I felt like everyone just reported back to preseason training, right? I think it's because the Club World Cup really messed around with the
Yeah,
summer.
it
I think.
did. Well, because we're used to actually a bit of a break and all the rumors throughout that period. And I mean, if you really want to break it down, like it's been a busy off season. Literally, as soon as the season was over, you start to see moves start to happen right away, and that just triggered like I think that's really what exhausted us this summer. There was really no break, no summer holiday for these guys, no rest, and then like for if you're a Liverpool fan, it went from reaching that high to tragedy, then trying to get just before preseason to get back into that mindset. So um, it's been a roller coaster of a summer. We'll say that.
Yeah, I think it's been the most bonkers transfer window I've ever seen. That's fair to say. I think, right? Like it's just been crazy. Like the amount of
Yeah.
transfers. Like I think we could probably make 50 shorts a day some days. Like there's so many deals going on and there's so many bids, there's so many rejections, there's so many intrigue. You know, the Morgan Gibbs White saga at the start of the like seems like months ago now and it was like 3-4 weeks ago. Like it just that's how crazy I think this off season's just been so far. So but it's good,
Yeah,
man.
it's
We
been
had so much to talk
summer
about.
soap
We were like,
opera.
oh, we could have a break. We might do a show on this, might do a show on that. All we've done is just make and talk about transfers, and it's just been record fees, record numbers. I've moaned about PSR more times than I care to talk about it, but at the end of the day, it's bonkers at this moment. It's still going to be bonkers. Even today, I think. I was looking at the Forest stuff, and there's six bids in today. Six.
Yeah,
All official
yeah.
bids, not like, oh, it's hearsay. Normally you get, oh, they're talking. It's like, no, there's six bids in. So
Well,
it's
I
just kind of
mean,
bonkers. But that's how it's going to be this season, I guess.
yeah, and we're not done. That's the scary part of it is
Oh,
that there's still a whole heap of deals to get done, and we aren't even talking about like the teams that haven't really done much of anything. We're still talking about some of the big teams still looking to add key pieces for that run for the title, right? And with the season starting today with the defending champions, Liverpool hosted Bournemouth at Anfield, um, and it was a beautiful, moment where they honored Diego and his brother. So that was nice with the full stadium showing their respect. Now, before I even get into the game, I have to touch on this. We did see this happen during the game where a moment during the game there was a play stop where the referee had to go talk to the benches, and we eventually found out it was due to racial abuse on Semenya from Bournemouth, right? And you know, it's it would be nice if we could go a season without having to talk about this, but you and I both know it's impossible, right?
yeah,
Because there's
it's
ignorant
unfortunate.
people out there, and I know there's going to be those people that are going to use this as a way to hate on Liverpool. Look, it was one ignorant individual that chose the moment to, which boggles my mind because Liverpool has so many black players on their team that he will cheer for, but yet he feels it's okay to turn around and abuse a black player from the opposing team, right? You're showing your true colors, my friend. I'm sorry, you are. So he was removed from what I could see from all videos and photos that have been posted online. Um, I'm sure we'll find out more as the Premier League does their investigation. I personally think he needs to get banned. I won't. Whether they choose, season, lifetime, whatever. I'm not going to argue with that. I just think enough is enough. It's like when I don't even know what to say anymore. Honestly, I don't.
Yeah, you know what? Like I had the game on. I wasn't really paying that much attention to it. I was doing some other things, and I did happen to stop and look over. I thought what was happening is because I was watching a little bit of the game, and I saw that Slot and uh, the Bournemouth guy, I forget his name right now.
Areola.
Ariel, thank you. Um, looked quite animated on the sideline, so I thought they'd crossed the line. I thought they were like one of them was getting in trouble, or he was pulling
Yeah.
them together to tell them like, "Look, I get it. It's the first game of the season. Calm the hell down, right?" And
Yep.
then obviously it's not, and it is unfortunate that that's again it mars what is a good opening, entertaining game to the season. And again, it's just again, I don't understand why we need to do this. It just it like the world's got enough issues. We don't need to
Yeah.
keep abusing players, and especially one that I thought Semedo today was fantastic. I'm
Brilliant.
curious. I know Arnie Slot talked to Semedo after the game. I did see that, and respect for him for doing that. I don't know. I'd like to know what he said to him, but again, I think it's. I thought that was a class move, and yeah, let's move on because it is
Yeah.
unfortunately a depressing side of it that it shouldn't be what we're talking about first, other than the fact that the Premier League kicked off and we had a banger of a game. We had some goals. We had some action packed. I got busy
I
and not
called
even
it.
see the end of it.
I called the score
I
line,
left it at 2-1. So I didn't know the score until you text me your screenshot of what you suggested earlier. So that was it. Do you know what I mean?
which is you know what is like. So I'll do those screenshots, but I don't post it because I'm always like, oh, I'm gonna get it wrong, right? So I just do it for fun and keep it for myself. So so I actually didn't even see the last two goals. When they By that point, I got on the subway. So we didn't get good reception. So as soon as I get back out of the game, I was able to resume, saw the last two goals, which were just like, oh, what a way to finish the game. Um, but it was you know what, well played game, back and forth action. At Ekatike, oh, I think he's going to be excellent in the Premier League. I think a lot of people had doubts about him or question if he was going to be, the physicality of the Premier League. But, what I saw from him today, I don't think fans have to be worried about that. Gakpo, beautiful goal. Um, am I worried defensively? Not, I wouldn't say worried, but I'm concerned because I just feel when Virgil van Dijk isn't as young as he used to, Kanate sometimes just is
Has
boneheaded,
moments. Yeah, he has
right?
moments.
And if you're playing with such a high line, you're risking getting exposed. And then let's add the fact that when we conceded those goals, we had made two. Did we make both defensive, our left and right back subs? No, I think we had only changed one. No,
Mhm.
no, we did. Either way, you took out both um, uh, Frimpong and Kirkes at the same time, which to me didn't make sense, right? Because first of all, I think Frimpong plays too high. I think you need to kind of have him. He doesn't always need to push and make that run, because again, you're leaving the defense way too exposed, and we don't have enough pace if we get caught on the counterattack. And those two goals were basically because of turnovers and mistakes where that led to counterattacks, and they're brilliantly finished by Bournemouth. So the fact
Wow.
that we were able to fight back, sorry,
I was gonna say, I thought you probably should have been out of sight, um, in this game.
yeah,
I do feel that there should have been a card, a red one, for a deliberate handball, which I'm still baffled that they didn't call it handball, in that game. So, but I thought you were gonna be out of sight, and then again, it is also the first game of the season. Mistakes are gonna happen when you've got a lot of new players, and they really
it's
haven't
so
had
hard
that
to tell.
much work. Right? So I wouldn't worry.
Like I've watched that replay. I've seen people take screenshots of it. It's literally almost impossible to really tell if his fingertip touched it or not. It very much looked like it did. But like the fact that he clearly made the attempt, right? But I think it's so hard to be 100% conclusive that he did. So
Oh, I think he does. I think if you
they
watch the
got away
replay,
with it. I'll
the
say
ball
that.
does change
That's what I'm
direction.
gonna say.
I
Okay.
don't I don't I
Game
don't deny it.
and we already
Yeah, I just think it changes direction. I just think it does. I think it's as bad as it gets, right? I think in terms of I don't know. It's just it's interesting to me
yeah.
that I thought the referee wasn't exactly, it's Anthony Taylor, so my
Yeah.
ambition of Anthony Taylor and expectations from him are a little bit to be desired at the best of times. But
Yeah.
I do feel
I'm not
like
gonna
that
dwell
was
on
the
it.
potential. No, but
Um
I think if Bournemouth went on to win that game, it would be a point everyone would come back and talk to, right? And at the end of the day, Chiesa comes on and Salah scores, and then you rescue it at the end. So you know, it's week one. I'm sure you'll be fine.
yeah. But I'll say this, you know what? 4-2. Chiesa. Are we gonna talk about him finally getting his goal? The man that barely did anything last year. Everybody was figuring he was going to be one and done at Liverpool. Came off the bench, and basically he got the game winner. Right, like
Yeah.
Salah's goal was a clincher, but like Chiesa got the game winner. Right, so well, you know what? Good for him. You know what? First goal for the club. I think no. I think he did. He score? No, I don't know.
No,
He
he
hasn't
scored
scored
last
in
year.
any competition yet.
No, I thought he scored last
No,
year.
no,
Didn't he?
that's what I
He
thought
didn't
too.
play
But
many
then I
games.
saw
He played like
somewhere
7 games.
I don't. Maybe he did. Maybe it wasn't in a league game though. I don't think it was in a league game. We'll have to double check. I'll double check, and if because again, either way, you could see the joy in him. Like he looks like he's when he gets on the pitch, he's gonna give you something, right? He's not always gonna be like he's to me. He's not a starter, but he's somebody worth having to come off the bench because he brings something different than any of the other guys attacking forwards that we have. But either way, he gets his he finally gets his goal. Liverpool moves on. Salah Salah does Salah at the end, right? Like the man, I don't know how he has the energy to play the 90 minutes and give 110% for the full 90 minutes, right? Like to me, I feel he has lost, like he's definitely losing a step, but he still is his mind hasn't slowed down, so he can still outthink players and just know where to be at the right moments. And like that last goal, like that shouldn't have been a goal, right? He was
No, but I think
basically
it's still a goal, right? You know what you're gonna get with him. He's week in and week out one of the best players in the Premier League, right? So I think
yeah,
he makes it goal, right? Like that's his thing, right? So I don't know. I think I think it was a good finish. He took his time. He made the right choice, right? And I think that's what he does a lot of the time. Whereas I think a lot of players coming through definitely do rush those decisions and rush those choices, and don't take the chances that they're provided with. I think he does convert them at a higher rate. But as you say, that is Chiesa's first goal for Liverpool. I did just look it up. It is his first goal for Liverpool, so it's a good time to get it.
yep, yep. So we'll take that. And 3 points, three important points, because I think with the battle that we're going to see this year in the Premier League, like you don't want to start the season dropping points, right? Because you you want to take advantage, any advantage you can against your opponents, right? And there's some big key matchups to start this season, so you kind of you want to take that and go, right? Because I know, is it Arsenal? They're playing Man United. That's a big matchup. Like neither of those teams want to drop points on the opening day, right? Because that could turn around and be, when you're looking back in April on points dropped. there will be others, but like you want to start off on the front foot.
Yeah, I think that leads us into where we should go with our predictions, right? I think
Yep.
we should go into our predictions, right? So, we're gonna put Sean's up because
Da, da,
this
da, da.
there's not much as a surprise if you were. I actually I
Okay.
made these slot. I'll be honest. I made the graphics for these, and I already had him Liverpool. I didn't even talk to him about his picks. I already had him at Liverpool and at the top spot without having to ask him.
Well,
And
how
then
could I
Sean
know?
hasn't seen mine,
Okay.
so we're gonna go through and debate these, and we'll have a
All
chat on
all
these.
right.
So go on, Sean.
Okay. You know
This is
what?
your method to your madness. You go for it.
Here's a question. All right. So, all right. This is obviously I'm going to go with Liverpool, right? And to all the haters out there, because
We're all
we get
shocked.
a lot,
We're all shocked, Sean.
we get a lot of haters in our DMs, right? You saying we don't know what we're talking about. That's fine, right? I follow Liverpool, so that's the team I'm going to know the most information about. And sometimes we don't always get it. No, we don't always. Maybe through our research, we might miss a few things on other teams. It's not intentional. So, with that being said, if there's somebody that feels my list is trash, that's okay. This is my list. With that being said, yes, I believe we're going to defend our title. I think we've strengthened our team. I think we're not done strengthening our team. We added a young center back today, and I think there's one more that will be on his way. So I think the reinforcements will definitely allow our attack to flourish, because I think that's also an area that we will be adding another body as well. But I think our attack will be a little bit more lethal this year than it was last year, right? Because I think and that's just no disrespect to Nunez. I wish him the best. I just wish he was a little bit more consistent and lethal with the opportunities that were given to him. So, anyways, Liverpool will defend their title. I think Man City have made some excellent moves starting back in January, but continuing in the summer. And I think that will only make them better. We know Pep is very stingy with his playing time, and he likes a small roster that he's confident to work with. And you can see he's shedding players that he doesn't think are for the future, i.e., Jack Grealish. Ederson, rumor has it that he's on his way out. So, but I think, like I said, I think with the moves they're making, and if they get Donnarumma, like you're getting what a lot of people would believe is the best keeper in the world, right? So, they will
Interesting
definitely
to
be it.
sign him though when they've just brought in James Trafford back, right? So I think it's a little bit of
But
a
okay, you've seen James Trafford play. I've seen him play. Maybe not as much last year because he got relegated, but the year before we seen him playing, and there's always been hype on him being one of England's next upcoming keepers, right? But for a team like City, do you believe they're prepared to give him the number one role if they're battling if they want to win a Premier League?
well. I think it depends, right? Like again, it's like you always take the best players who can play out, But I think if I obviously don't spend too much time looking at PSG, but I think from my understanding that Enrique wanted to have someone that could play out with his feet better than Donnarumma, was the reason, right? So that's Pep's whole thing. This whole
Yeah.
playing like
So
Pep is
yeah,
so why would Enrique get rid of him if Pep's the
fair
guy that
enough.
demands? And I think the thing is with Trafford, he's been in that in that Man City system, right?
Yeah.
So I think he understands how to play with that. I just don't see them going for Donnarumma. I just think they will just stick with Trafford, and if I think Donnarumma will end up at United, to be honest with you, the Man United that's got no money, that's sacking the dinner lady and firing the kids. But we found 300 million to spend on players, but that's for another day. But yeah, I do think he will be a good starter for. I think Trafford will be a good starter for City, and I think if he
Yeah.
doesn't, then they'll replace him quite quickly. That's normally what they do.
Yeah. Sorry, Arsenal fans, and we know quite a few. I have you guys in third. and here's the thing is the top three, it's going to be close. We won't see a finish like last year, but I think you'll see there'll be maybe a little bit of gap between say Arsenal and Man City and Liverpool, but it won't be by much. Um, I still think Arsenal, they've added great players, but I still think there's other areas that they just, if any of those top players that they brought in get hurt, their backup isn't good enough. You lose Saka again, maybe his backup is half decent, but he's not on Saka's level. If who's the striker they got again? Gyökeres?
Gyökeres, yeah.
If something were to happen to him, or he doesn't, isn't hit the mark off running, and he isn't what everyone expects him to be, or what they expect him to be, they're not good. Everyone said they need a striker. If he isn't the man, then that can affect them. I think there's still question marks, but again, it won't be. It's not by effort. They'll be in the fight, but I just, again, if I look at what Liverpool have done, what Man City have done, I just think our additions made us that much better. And then Chelsea is a great team, right? Like, they're an upcoming team. They're going to be a team to fear in another year or so. Especially if they strengthen a couple, to me, get a better keeper. No disrespect to Sanders, I just think they can upgrade that position. And one
I
or
don't
two
understand why
defensive
they
addition.
don't sign Donnarumma. That's like, if you're on about Donnarumma, they've got more
Yeah.
money than anybody else because they keep selling a hotel, a
Or
train station, the women's team,
all their
advertising
academy
space
kids.
on they just seem to be they're making a ton of money off add-on sales from everybody else because they've got 96 squad players. So I just think Chelsea's, why wouldn't you go and get Donnarumma? If it's another 50 million, what's another 50 million when you spent a couple of billion? Like, it doesn't make any sense to
Yeah.
me when Robert
Well,
Sanchez is not that great. Like, he's not that great.
yeah. But maybe, again, based on how they are looking at young long term, maybe that's just, they feel like, what, Donnarumma would be a short term fix, and he's not in their they like those 10-year deals, and he's a player that wouldn't be down with a 10-year deal. Right. So,
Yeah.
anyways, Chelsea will be fourth. Now, Newcastle being fifth depends on a lot of factors for me. Right. So it's reality, right? Because if they don't have Isak, and yeah, they'll have made some additions, but you're also, remember, they're going to be in the Champions League this year. When you add the additional games, I don't think they're deep enough. And that's where I wonder, where will the decision be made? Focus on the Premier League so that you maybe have a chance to return to the Champions League the following season and get, build on that, or you're going to have like the last time where you struggle trying to balance both, and then you drop out, you don't make it into the top 6 next season or at the end of the season. So it really, really depends on, I think, the Isak move, right? Because we know what a threat he is when he's on the pitch for them, and that makes them, in every game they play, they're a team that can win any game when he's on the pitch. But you take a player like him out, yes, they have a good coach in
Eddie
what's his
Howe.
name again? Eddie Howe, yeah. Well, I was thinking Gordie Howe for a second. Eddie Howe. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I just, that's my only concern. So yes, I put them in there. So we'll see. That one, I will not be surprised if I'm wrong. And then, whether people like it or not, Man United have made a lot of improvements, and I think, he shed away a lot of the players that we probably discussed need to go from that team in the first,
You
right?
mean the
And I
bomb
think,
squad?
well, call it what you want, right?
Yeah.
We probably would have added a couple more bodies on that list, but I like the players that they've added. And if they get a keeper like Donnarumma, like, that will definitely add a few wins on their season, right? Because he's that good of a keeper that he will steal games for you. So I believe they will rebound next year, and you'll see more of the Man United we've seen in the past. And I guess we'll give an honorable mention. They're not on the list to Spurs. And that really, I think Thomas Frank is a good coach and has the ability, if he can have a healthy Spurs team, they have some pieces there.
Yep, seventh for Spurs, I think is realistic. I think at this point, so
Yeah.
be better than their 17th last year. So
Yeah.
see.
Well, like I said, both Man United with how bad they were, I don't see that. Like they'll be definitely, even if they're not six, they'll be in and around that area. Like, and I predict they'll be back in Europe the following season.
All
Don't know
right, so
where,
let
but
me
yeah.
switch. Let me switch it up then. So here's mine because you haven't seen this. Um,
Oh,
I put Chelsea in there
interesting.
twice.
Well, hold on. Yeah. Oh,
No, I actually meant to change that to Man United. I
okay,
had it
but
at Liverpool winning it.
which one? Okay, I'll let you go.
I had Liverpool winning it. I had Arsenal for the fourth year in a row coming runners up. I had Chelsea. I was toying with Chelsea second. I'll be honest. Um, and my only reason I didn't put Chelsea second is like I like who they've signed in terms of that. I don't like their goalkeeper. I just I think he's like they've got like an amazing cast of players, and then you've got this guy that just doesn't fit that mold, and I just don't think he's good enough. Like I think there's probably 10 other goalkeepers in the league better than him. That's how bad I don't think he is. So I think he's one of the detractors from me thinking they're going to get up there. The other one is the coach. We haven't really seen him blow teams away. Yes, they won the Club World Cup, and I don't need to. I don't think anybody really meant to do great with that. I just don't think anyone really trying as hard as everybody makes out they were. But I just don't trust Maresca. I just don't think he's that great. I think in his mind, I thought Chelsea at times last year looked short of ideas, and that comes from the coach. And I just don't think he's that great. I think if you take Sanchez out and you take Maresca out, I think if you put any other top manager in Chelsea with all that talent, I think they would be neck and neck with Liverpool. I just don't think Maresca is good enough. And City, I think this is a little bit of Rodri will come back. You'll get these young guys all blending into the City program, and I think they will not. I think they'll win a cup or two this year. I don't think they'll do that much in the league. I had Man United in that other spot. You can see how at last minute I was still changing it around. I forgot to. I changed it on one, didn't change it on the other one. But I had Man United coming back in, only because um, I thought Newcastle might be a bit Jekyll and Hyde, depending. I'm assuming Isak's going. That's the other reason I put Liverpool top. I'm assuming Isak's going. I figure they'll get a deal done. I don't know if Newcastle will get the right player. And then seventh, we mentioned it. I actually had Villa in seventh, and I had Spurs in eight. But again, I don't know what they're going to do, and I think that was a part of the issue, right? So, but that's my top six.
All righty. Well, um, not bad. We're very close, right?
I
Like,
think it's fair to say we're pretty even on
well,
what we.
actually, we picked the top six. We both had the same six teams in there.
I had Chelsea twice. There you go.
Well, yeah,
All right.
but
So the bottom six, I think, is far more interesting. Because
okay, let's go with yours first. We start because I want to see where how because
all right,
mine I let's see if mine come back to haunt me. I already see one that I totally disagree with you, but anyways,
all right. So Burnley, I have Burnley going down bottom.
yeah.
My only thing is Burnley played a certain way last year. James Trafford was a big part of that. I don't know if defensively they could play the same way in the Premier League, and I don't know if they're going to score enough goals. And this is kind of this is my thread with these teams, right? It's the you score goals in the Premier League, you have a fighting chance of staying in the Premier League, and I don't know if Burnley are going to score enough goals to stay in the Premier League. So
Right.
they've spent wise, and I think that some of the signings they've made are good. But again, it's the goals part of it where this is one where I'm a little bit like I can safely say I think Burnley will go down. Um, Sorry, Dad. I know my dad's got a soft spot for Brentford. But as I've said before, look, Brentford have sold all their best players. Their coach, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. This is in the reserves, waiting for a move to somewhere. Assumingly, he's going to end up at Newcastle. My problem here is purely and simply, and Mbeumo is at United. This is probably going to end up at Newcastle. Your coach that's kept you there is at Spurs. Your midfield general that controlled the team and controlled the environment is at Arsenal. They've added Henderson. They added Kelleher, who's a really good goalkeeper. I just don't think they're going to score the
Better
same
than
amount of goals.
Sanchez.
Yeah, he's absolutely way better than Sanchez. But my grand's probably better than Sanchez. But at this point, I just don't see them scoring enough goals, right? And I think
Uh,
that's
That's fair.
that's the
That's
issue.
fair. That's fair.
Um, the next one, oh my God, this I know you when I asked you your picks, you were like tortured. Um, Wolves for me again. I just think they keep letting players leave, and I just don't see enough. And I think this is one of those. I like Wolves. I like what they've done in the Premier League since they've been back, and the last thing. But last year they flirted with relegation for a long, long, long time. Pereira came in, did a great job, and really kind of got them around. But I think he got them going when everybody else was just that bad in the Premier League that came up last year. I just think that might be a step too far. And you know, again, I think if you really kind of asked me, I think Leeds were probably the third team to get relegated. But I think I don't know why. I just like Leeds in the Premier League, so I'm just kind of more hoping they're going to end up in 17th. I don't know. I just think it's one of those historic English clubs, and that maybe I'm a sucker for it. It's the same as Sunderland. I love an absolute time weird derby. I love the Newcastle Sunderland games. They're a punch up. I love those old school games, and I like what Sunderland's done, right? And I know people are all like comparing them to Forest buying and spending money, but you know what? They're having a crack, and I hope, I generally do hope they stay up for just having a fight and try.
Yeah.
And I think Fulham. I don't. I said this to you the other day, like when we were chatting backwards and forward on WhatsApp the other day. What are Fulham doing? Like, I think the first manager gone will probably be Marco Silva, and I don't think he'll be sacked. I think he's just going to walk. Like, they don't seem to be doing it. They're after the guy, the Brazilian guy called Kevin, which still is the best name ever. I just don't know what they're doing. Like, what are they doing? They like I don't really see. I was even today. I was looking like, come on, Fulham. What are you doing? What have you done? Nothing. Like nothing. Like it's like we're treading water. Like I just don't understand what they're doing. Like so I just think they're gonna end up in there. And if they lose Marco Silva, they could be in real trouble. Like I generally do think that. I think
Well,
he's the glue, right?
the key is, does he walk mid-season if the team, or do they
I think he
fire him?
walks
That's
mid-season. I think he might walk week 3. If they get pummeled the first couple of games and they don't give him players and give him money to get some players over the line,
could
if
be
you
they
look
could
at
come to it.
Sunderland's business, you look at Leeds' business, you look at Brentford's business, you look at Burnley's, they're like they're all
Yeah,
aggressive, and I just
way more aggressive than Fulham, definitely.
and Fulham's just like I don't know, just going through the motions of a preseason.
I think what I think you're going to see happening, because there's still a lot of teams that are sellers, and you're going to see a lot of these lower bottom teams will be biting. Whether they're loan deals or whether they're buy deals, you'll see a few players like, didn't Ben Doak got sold today from Liverpool. Um, Who's he going to? I can't
Bournemouth.
even remember. Fulham, right?
No, I think he's going to Bournemouth, isn't he?
Bournemouth.
Yeah, he went to
I
Bournemouth.
can't even remember. Either way, like you're going to start to see things like that happening. So we'll see what happens. Let's take a look at mine because mine there's a few of the similar teams in there. So we both agreed Burnley's going down.
Yeah.
I guess neither of us have. For me,
We
it's
both have Wolves. Both have Wolves in that spot going down as well. So that's
all
why
right.
Burnley down, Wolves down. I think the only difference is you drop Leeds in there.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
And I'll
Sunderland.
apologize.
You
I'm
switched out
gonna
with West Ham.
Yeah, I'm gonna apologize from now to all the Leeds fans because I actually want Leeds to stay up. I believe they belong in the Premier League. I'm not sure what this if their signings will are. Like I said, it's hard to gauge teams coming up from the championship, even when they are aggressive, because we've seen teams be aggressive and get it wrong, right?
Ipswich.
And that's my only concern, and that's my only worry when it comes to promoted teams. It would be nice to start to see a shift in the balance where you're not seeing three up, three down. Maybe one or two stay up and one go down. So that's kind of would be more of a preference for me. And everybody knows the team I'd much rather see in one of the bottom three positions. Unfortunately, no matter how much I'd like to see them there, they're not going to be there. Right. So these are the teams that I consider. So Burnley in the bottom, Leeds, like I said, if you guys can prove me wrong, I'll be happy. Wolves, I pretty much agree with you. I just what have they done again this offseason? And they like a lot of other teams have lost their best players. Shout out to Wolves for the way you're going to honor Diego Jota with that banner. That's a sick banner, but um, I think your time in the Premier League might be done, at least for now. Um, I think Sunderland again they've been of all the teams coming up, the three of them, they've I think been the most aggressive. And some of their signings I actually do like, and that's where I think like if they can gel as a team, they might be able to, like I said, be able to stay up. West Ham, I just don't think Graham Potter is the right like with the player. First of all, I haven't seen him add enough so far in this offseason or much of anything at all. And I just don't know if the players that he has, fit into his style of play. So,
Yeah, it doesn't help. Paqueta said he might want to look for a move elsewhere today, which
right,
2 days before the start of
throw
the
that
season.
right because
Really?
now that he's back, he's like, you know what? Looking around the locker room, like, yeah, I want out, right? Um, and then Brentford, like I said, they're in that battle simply because when you don't have an attack like you've had in the previous few years, you don't and you don't at the moment you haven't replaced them. Throw in the coaching staff issues, you're probably going to struggle. But who knows, right? Weirder things have happened, right? Where like for all we know, this coach somehow finds a way to make it work, right? Maybe the staff he brought in around him is intelligent enough and experienced enough to help guide him as a fresh, this is your first full-on coaching role. You were uh um what is it, a spot kick specialist or a free kick specialist,
Yeah,
something
set
like
piece
that,
specialist. Yeah.
right? So you never know. Sometimes some people are just meant to be head coaches. They have that natural skill, right? So only time will tell. I know a lot of people have him as probably the first coach being fired, but you never know where the things have happened. So that's my six. Like I said, Leeds fans, if I'm wrong, I'll be happy.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I think for us, I think we're pretty similar in our approach in terms of in the top, and I think the bottom there's just a couple. But I think this year, I think there is probably 5 or 6 teams that if they don't get it right early, could end up in real trouble. And you know what? I think the the chase to the deadline day of signings might be one of the most epic of all times. So we'll definitely maybe be live on that day just to kind of see the last few hours of chaos of the deadline day transfer, because I do think there's going to be a lot of deals to come. I think you'll get a lot of deals this week. I think you might get a few more here we goes on Monday after the weekend's results, with some teams, you know, triggering the reaction and the panic button early. I think some of those deals might get done for a couple more million than they thought they were going to get done on Friday. So, but we'll see.
Eh,
That's our predictions
yeah,
anyway. I think it's eh, you know, we just again, like you mentioned earlier, we don't spend hours and hours and hours and hours on West Ham and Fulham and what they've, this academy player and this, but
yeah,
we'd love to. We just don't have the time. We unfortunately we have to have day jobs. So it's just one of those things for us that we just, when you sit down and look at them, you compare them to last year to this year, you compare to see what they've done, see who they've brought in, you see where and how they struggled last year and how they improved in those areas. And I think we make decisions. Essentially, we talk about this all the time, where this was an issue, they haven't really resolved it. And I think, and I had this conversation with somebody yesterday about Jack Grealish at Everton. That's, I don't understand that move. I understand it from Everton's point. You get somebody like Jack Grealish in. I just don't understand who you're going to put around him to help him. And I think you need several pieces to make some of these pieces work. And we just kind of go through and we look at all these teams and we look at what they need and what we feel that that they're going to do. And it's just, yeah, I just end up with a lot more questions sometimes than we do answers.
yeah. And like, hey, if any of you out there, you know what, want to jump on and have enough knowledge of your club and can be clear and precise, we're willing to have, especially if you say you have a little channel or you have a little, you do something in the soccer world and you want to kind of try, like, let us know. Because thing is, like I said, we can only do so much, and I am constantly looking up Liverpool information, trying to see what's happening. So I stay tuned to that. But I try to, Noel and I are always sending each other stuff on, oh, this person's getting signed by him. They're getting, so we are trying our best, but again, we don't always catch everything. So, if there's stuff that we've missed as to why maybe other people don't think their team will get relegated, send us a message, right? And we're willing to look at other factors that maybe we've missed. So with that being said, uh,
Oh yeah, you know what? I think that's the key, right? Like we spend hours looking as it is, right? And it's difficult to to know that every single youth player that might be a world beater is floating around in someone's reserves, right? Generally,
yeah.
most of the world beaters seem to be being picked up by Chelsea these days.
Hey, I wouldn't have seen Liverpool signing a 17-year-old kid from Salford,
Yeah.
right? And so that, yeah, and apparently he was a hot commodity. All the clubs were, top clubs were looking at him. So like that, like I said, we're not going to be able to catch everything. Like that one to me came out of nowhere. So anything else? Well, you know what? At some point when Noel and I have some time, because I think we touched on the beginning, we will talk PSR because that's a hot topic right now, and it's a fair topic. Even me as a Liverpool fan, I can empathize with others. I know I get my team gets lumped into that Big Six cartel conversation, but I will always defend them, right? Because facts are facts. Like our history isn't a team that spends money. This has
No,
been in the normal of the season.
and I think when it gets to the PSR stuff, like it's no different than anything. It's everyone's got an opinion on it, and I think the general consensus is in a lot of things within the Premier League, within UEFA, within FIFA, and the oversight of soccer, soccer's changed so much in the last 5 to 10 years that the rules aren't changing fast enough. They aren't changing well enough, and now what you've essentially got is big business with big high-powered lawyers. We spend more time talking about lawsuits, cases, PFR, like PSR, like incidents. We spend way too much time talking about off-field stuff that 5 years ago we never wanted to talk about. So I think that's just in general. From our standpoint, I think I'm very passionate about it because I do feel those rules are skew whiffed a little bit, and as much as this week every Crystal Palace fan has been just you know accusing Forest of everything. And it's a rule. It's a rule, and you get done by a rule that's stupid. But by the same token, um, you know, Forest got done and Everton got done for stupid PSR rules when teams have got charges and no resolution. So we'll get into it. But you know what? We're week one, Sean. We're back. We'll be back
Well,
again. I think Sunday to do a recap of the just go over the weekend's results after Sunday, and we'll see how the first week of the Premier League goes.
that's it. So thanks again for watching, everybody. As usual, make sure you hit that like button. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. That's it for us on the 6 Yard Line podcast. I'm Sean.
Thanks for
That's
watching,
Noel.
guys.
Have a good night.